Hi everybody, I hope you're well and dandy out there in YouTube land, Beatles world, members of the VC, record collectors and anybody else that's just come across this little channel. I'm really excited. Yesterday I was lucky enough to go to a record fair in Nottingham at the Salt Box in Nottingham, and it was run by AA Record Fairs. Now I did buy quite a few records while I was there, but there's one in particular that I thought needs a video all of its own, and it is this one. This is like Holy Grail for me. It is the Beatles Black Album. It's an unofficial Beatles release. It came out in 1981, and I think, from what I can get information on, it was released in printed in America. Now, in all the years I've been collecting records and Beatles records, been collecting records since 1975 and Beatles records since 1981. And until yesterday, I had never ever seen a physical copy of this in record shops, uh, record fairs, whatever. I've never ever seen a copy of this until yesterday. I actually thought it was a bit of a mythical thing because I've only ever seen photos of it, and I've seen about 3 advertised on eBay over the years, and they was all based in America. So I don't know how many were pressed of this. It's made to look like it is the follow-up to the White Album, hence why it's called the Black Album. It is the Beatles going through rough versions of songs, going through a few old rock and roll songs. You do get various versions of the same song, but different sort of like stages of the recording or the writing. You've got the Beatles taking the mickey out one another. Overall, it comes across like the Beatles are having the time of their life, which is different to how it was originally presented in the original Let It Be album and film. So it's an unofficial, it's bootleg, and it is the most expensive record I've probably ever bought, or one of them, should I say. We did see it, and I was going to put it back, and Sue goes, "What's that one?" And goes, "It's the Beatles Black Album." She goes, "Oh, I've never heard of that one." And I says, "Well, you won't, because it's a bootleg or a counterfeit." And she goes, "Well, how often do you see them?" I says, "That's the first one I've ever seen." And she goes, "What, really?" And I goes, "Yeah." And she goes, "So if you don't buy it, when would you ever see another one?" And I goes, "In the UK, probably never." Um, and then she goes, "So if you don't buy it today, will you regret it?" And I was going to say no, but Sue knows me too well, and and I just goes, "Yeah, I would regret it if I didn't buy it." So the bloke that was selling it, to give me his dues, did give me quite a big discount off it. It was still expensive, but I did get it at not a very, not, it's still a lot of money, but not as much as what it could have been. Um, Once I bought it, I went to see one of the chaps that actually runs the record fair, and I said, "Oh, look what I've just bought." He goes, "Well, what you bought?" I says, "The Beatles Black Album." And he goes, "That doesn't exist. It's a mythical album, isn't it?" And I goes, "Well, that's what I thought, but I've got one here, look." And he goes, "Bloody hell, where did you get that from?" I says, "Oh, a little stall down there." And he goes, "You know something, Dave, if I'd have bought that, I'd have got that." And he looked at the price that the bloke wanted. He says, "That's worth more than that." And I goes, "Yeah, I know. So, although it's cost me a lot of money, I am happy with what I've got." Right, so it's a 3 record set. And you've got the Beatles embossed there. Don't know if you can see it, just there. You do get the track listing on that side, and you get 4 portraits of the Beatles there. I'll run through the track listing with you. There is one song on here that I won't mention the name because it could be offensive to people. So side 1 kicks off with Tennessee. Then you get the House of the Rising Sun, Commonwealth, which is it's not the sort of song I think they'd get away with today. White Power, Winston, Richard and John, which again is like an extended version of Commonwealth. Hi Ho Silver, it's not Hi Ho Silver Lining, it's just called Hi Ho Silver. For You Blue, and then Let It Be. Then side 2 kicks off with a fantastic version of Get Back. It's an early version of Get Back, but it's got John singing the majority of the lead vocals on it. And it makes you wonder what that song would have sounded like if, when they recorded it properly, John would have done the majority of the vocals like it was here. But it was Paul's song, so obviously when they recorded it properly, Paul sang it. Then we've got Don't Let Me Down, On Our Way Home, Don't Let Me Down, Susie Parker, I've Got a Feeling, and then there is a song which I will not mention. Side 3 is Let It Be, Bebopalula, She Came In Through the Bathroom Window, High-Heeled Sneakers, I Mean Mine, I've Got a Feeling, and the one after 909. Side 4, She Came In Through the Bathroom Window, Panina, Shaking in the 60s. Now, Shaking in the 60s, I can never ever understand why the Beatles never finished that song, because it is quite a good sort of rocking song, and it mentions people like Dick James and things like that in the lyrics. Why they've never finished it, I will never know. It has been on a few bootlegs before, though. Then you've got Good Rocking Tonight, Across the Universe, Two of Us, I Threw It All Away, Mama You've Been on My Mind, and Dominic. Side 5 is Early in the Morning, Hi Ho Silver, Stand By Me, Hare Krishna, Two of Us, Don't Let Me Down, I've Got a Feeling, one after 909. The final side, side 6, is Too Bad About Sorrows, She Said, Mean Mr. Mustard, All Things Must Pass, A Fool Like Me, You Win Again, She Came In Through the Bathroom Window, Watching Rainbows, and then there's an instrumental. The sound quality on this varies, to be honest. It's by no means is it audio file quality, but that doesn't bother me because I'm not an audiophile. It is all very enjoyable to listen to. Some songs sound better than other songs. Some of the songs on here I have got on other bootlegs, but to be fair, they sound more superior on here than they do on the bootlegs. Some of the songs have since been included in box sets, like the Let It Be box set from a few years ago, and I think they've been cleaned up, but they're not exactly the same versions that are on here. It does come with a poster. You do get a poster like the original White Album, but you don't get the 4 portraits. I've got to be careful of doing this because this is quite fragile. Move back, and you get writing on the back. And I say writing because it's not. Excuse me. It's not the lyrics to any of the songs that's on the back. It is text from the original Get Back book that came with the original Let It Be box set in 1970. So presentation wise, it is really, really nice. It's a shame it's a bootleg or counterfeit, whatever you want to call it. Is it a bootleg? Is it a bootleg? Because a bootleg has got to be a real album, hasn't it? Whereas a counterfeit got to be a real album. I don't know, I always get mixed up. Do I think this is worth the money I've paid for it? Yes, I do. Because where else would I ever get this album? Now, in America, it might be a different story. This might still be quite easy for you to get. Now, on the labels, it does not mention the Beatles or the Beatles Black Album or the song titles or anything. That is the labels. And the labels are the same on all 3 LPs. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm sure I watched a video, and it's quite a recent video, where somebody was on about these counterfeit records. And most of them, not all of them, but most of them were actually pressed at, proper record pressing plants, weren't they? But the way that the bootleggers got away with it was they never printed proper labels, so that if they got stopped, they could say, well, it's nothing. Look, there's nothing on them, or you know, it's not the Beatles, it's the O tracks or something like that. There was one with the O tracks on it, wasn't there? Yeah. So you know, I just can't believe I found this after all these years. And like I say, till yesterday, I'd never ever seen a physical copy of this before. Now, if you live in the UK and you're a Beatles fan, have any of you got this? Don't just say you have if you haven't, but you know, have any of you actually got this, or have any of you ever seen a physical copy of it? I've been collecting Beatles records since 1981, and this is the first ever physical copy I've seen of it. Yes, I've seen photos and things like that, you know, but I've never seen a proper copy of it. You can get a CD version of that, which has only got half the tracks on, and I think I might have a copy of that up there. And if I remember rightly, the sound quality in that is absolutely horrible. You can't, it's barely listenable to. That is acceptable. Don't get me wrong. It's not the greatest sounding album in the world, but it is acceptable. And if you take it for what it is, the Beatles rehearsing songs, doing a few old rock and roll songs, composing songs, taking the mickey out of one another in places, then you know, take it for what it is. You know, the Let It Be album and the Let It Be film, when they originally came out in 1970, tried to make it look like the Beatles were breaking up when they was doing all this recording. When we got the Get Back film a few years ago on, was it Disney Plus or whatever it was, that presented a whole new picture to it, didn't it? Because you could see the Beatles still enjoying being together, you know, still enjoying composing songs together, playing together for the majority of the time anyway. Uh, you know, I'm a bit lost for words over this. Yes, it was expensive. If I was going to give it a mark out of 10, I would give it a 9 out of 10. And the only reason it doesn't get 10 out of 10 is because nowadays the sound quality on this could probably be made a little bit better, the way they did with the outtakes for the Let It Be album, probably, if that makes sense. It is what it is. When am I ever going to see another one of these? Probably never, in all honesty. Probably never. You might have been lucky, and if you lived in America when these came out in 1981, you might have been able to get these for a couple of dollars. I don't know. Are these more common to buy in America? Like I say, since 1981, this is the first ever copy I've seen, physical copy of it I've ever seen in any record shop, record fairs, and things like that. I've never seen one advertised from a UK seller on eBay. I don't think I have. I think the only ones I've seen were in America, and they don't come up that often. And when they do, you're talking probably $400, and then you've got postage on it, and then you've got import tax and things like that. So if I'd bought one from America, this would be very, very cheap compared to that. Yeah, I love it. It's a holy grail for me. It's going to sit proudly in my collection, and that's about it. So, any comments you've got on this Beatles Black Album, please let me know. If any of you've got a copy of it, or if, you know, any more information, all I can find, it was originally pressed in America and it had a very limited run. There is another album with the same name, by the way, which does come quite regular on internet selling sites on a CD, called the Beatles Black Album, but that is somebody who's just took solo Beatles songs and made it like it would have been a Beatles album. It is not this one. Don't get them confused. It's not this one. So yeah, very, very happy to have this 3 LP set, Beatles Black Album, complete with poster, and I'm loving listening to it. Uh, so that's going to be it. Whatever you're doing, please stay safe. I hope I brought a smile to your face, and it's peace and love to you all. So till the next time, it's Beatle Dave saying, cheerio everybody, take care.